I'm Nikki Klugh, award-winning interior designer and founder of Nikki Klugh Design Group. I create spaces where people love to live, work, and play. However, interior design is often riddled with so many challenges and changing circumstances. But because of my 20 years of experience, ability to bring clients vision into reality, and my unique approach to design, I am always on the move. Welcome to On the Move with Nikki Klugh.
Welcome, everyone, to After the Move with Nikki Klugh. I'm Paulette, and I am a part of the After the Move crew, and we're here to talk with Isaiah. And we want to find out exactly how his experience has been since moving into and living in the space that has been created for him by Nikki Klugh and her team. So we've got Isaiah with us today. And one of the first questions, Isaiah, first of all, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We're glad to have you. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing wonderful. I appreciate
Good.
y'all having me here.
Awesome. Awesome. So listen, we just watched your show, the first couple of stretches of your experience, and the ideas that you had were actually quite inspiring to me, and how in depth you were in creating the space with Nikki and her team. So one of the first questions that I have is, what has this experience been like for you since the actual design and the moving in with you and your daughter, Amaya? And how have you enjoyed your home since the design has been completed?
Well, the biggest thing is life is a lot more peaceful on all of our ends. That project around 9 months or so, it was a lot. It was a lot of work, a lot of back and forth, a lot of communication, thinking, vision, planning,
Right.
executing, traveling. It was a lot, but it's so worth it. So every day it just feels like a blessing. It's just a reminder
Mhm.
of all that God has provided for us, and just contributes to our joy in our new home and being settled in Texas. It's like every day that we wake up and go to sleep, we just have so much to be thankful for. So just taking heed in that, and just really, really, really just feeling peaceful, peace and joy and
I
happiness.
love that you said that, that peace and that joy. And one of the things that I know that is uh, important for Nikki and her team is creating those sacred spaces. So I'm curious, have you found those sacred spaces throughout your home since the design has been completed? And what are those areas?
Yes, definitely. And that's just something that I owe it all to Nikki, to even bringing it to my attention around how different spaces and environments can contribute to your overall feel and quality of life, quite frankly.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm actually still finding little places in the home that feel different. Of course, I mean, in the kitchen, we spend a lot of
Mhm.
time in the kitchen, just kind of at the island. It's kind of our family time.
Yeah.
Breakfast tables, kind of when we're like talking. Theater room is when we're just hanging out, having fun in the lounge. I have like different areas, whether it be on the patio, or it just sitting in the dining room table at a random chair that just kind
Mhm.
of does something for me. The formal living room is kind of that's my serious space. So
Okay.
kind of when I'm in deep thought, I, I
Love
I I
Okay.
it.
go
I love
there.
it.
So yeah, we got spaces. The office for sure.
We got spaces.
Yeah, we
Yes,
got
I
we
spaces.
got
love it.
vibes and moods for sure.
Got vibes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that is so important. And I love the fact that you've been able to find so many nooks and crannies throughout your home throughout this time. But now I want to talk about the design and the experience of putting everything together. So
Let me start by saying, let me just interrupt. I'm sorry. Let
yeah,
me project that. Isaiah had a very clear vision
yeah.
home.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
I thought that was so amazing for a young man to care, first of all, to care,
Yes.
what his home was going to look like. So he did know and had some understanding that your home is going to feed you and it's going to nurture your soul. So he cared from the jump. Like he was like, this is
Right.
about Black excellence. I want you to feel like a king when you walk in this house, whether it's me or my guest. And so that was the inspiration that we had. So kudos to Isaiah for having that
Yes.
vision. That gave me everything I needed to bring this to life.
And what I
Yeah, I
love
think
about your point about that, and I'm sorry, is I noticed right away when Jess and you and the team were all sitting there and you said, oh, by the way, here's something that I want to bring to the table. And I thought, oh, he's really invested in this. And that was like, wow, because you don't find, I'm going to be honest, most men who are that interested is like, oh, whatever you say, I will go with it. And you didn't do that. You were like, oh, I want more Black here. And let's talk about more color here. And I want this to feel like that. So kudos to you for that, for sure. For sure. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it, but I just needed to point that out that you were very clear.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it was a big investment, so I'm gonna be as clear as I
Right,
need to be
right.
around how we spend
Yeah,
these
yeah,
dollars.
Clear as glass, yes.
yeah.
But but yeah, honestly, I think kind of that vision was really fueled by what I wanted people to feel like coming into this home. Like I
Mhm.
understand fully like what this not only means for me, but what it means for other people who may not, family, friends, guests, what kind of space this can create, what type of blessing this can be to other people.
Yeah.
Since during that time, I mean, the best times we have in this house is just family time or guests in town.
Hmm.
Amaya's mother coming to visit, grandmothers coming to town, grandparents,
Oh,
cousins, family coming down.
Love it.
Just random hanging out, and it's really it's really done what we set out to do, and just creating a space that is number one beautiful, that is
Mhm.
loving, and that everybody walks in and just feels excellence and feels different. So
Yes,
oh, I love
yes.
it. I love it.
So I'm curious, during the design phase, you had a couple of surprises.
Ooh.
Let's talk about that. So the biggest surprise when we were watching the show was your desire to have everything done by Christmas. And you stood fast on that because of your baby girl, your daughter, Amaya. And let's talk about that just for a moment and the importance of having that done. But let's also talk about, first of all, Nikki, for you, the surprise of that and what that was like. I've got to make sure that, my client gets exactly what they're asking for with excellence. But then also, Isaiah, your push to have that done by them. Why was that so important to you? We heard you, but I'd love to talk about that more in depth.
So
Both of
let me start with
you.
during our client intake process and
Mhm.
doing our terms of service and
Mhm.
what our agreement is. There is a sheet that we call 20 things you should know.
Okay.
And on that, I think it's either number one or it's number two. It
Mhm.
says very clearly, and we go over this in person at the onset of the project.
Okay.
Christmas, birthdays, holidays are not deadlines.
Oh my. Okay.
My very first design experience when I was working for another fabulous designer in Palo Alto, California, we were working on this multi-million-dollar home,
Yeah.
and the client was freaking out, like literally losing it over a sofa
Mm.
not being there in time for a party. And it's
Mm.
like, this is not life and death. Like my husband,
Right.
what he does is life or death.
Right. Right.
Design in a residential space, now in commercial
Mhm.
spaces, there are
Yeah.
public safety issues,
Yeah.
absolutely. But
Mhm.
a sofa not being there is not one of them. So
I
that was
got
in
you.
our contract
Yeah.
from jump, from the very first
Right.
time I started my business.
Mhm.
So, we're clear to make that, we're certain to make that clear to clients. So that's why it caught me so off guard. Like, we talked about this. We talked about this.
Okay.
So, So yeah, Isaiah, I maybe you assume there's no way we're gonna go till Christmas, there's no way we're gonna be beyond, 8 weeks, 10 weeks. And so you go ahead and share how that became a point for you.
Well, I mean, who don't like Christmas? We gotta, I mean, if we're gonna deliver something, let's do it by Christmas. But
Yeah.
no, that was fueled primarily just by the number one, want to be settled, number one, and then wanting to have that first experience in our new home around a date, which I thought at the time was possible. And just having Amaya in her own room, because that was, with all the money I spent, that was her Christmas gift. So,
Okay.
Listen, we went old school parents. You guys are old school soul in you.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, oh no, it was definitely old school. Oh yeah.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was here just kind of being in it. Like, my contractor was great in setting up everything, but I was, here being present and just kind of seeing everything coming together, everybody working hard, like various aspects. Like I'm an operator at heart, so I absolutely love that. So it kind of just felt like we could will our way into victory here, which I'm typically pretty good at, but I
Yeah.
definitely learned like through that in this process is that you got to let certain things just play out. You can't
Yeah.
rush or even set deadlines certain times. I mean, have ideas in mind, but it's best to just be patient. Like if it's an extra month, too, it's about getting it right. It's about
Yeah.
getting it actually the vision executed to its fullest extent and not meeting a deadline. So thank
Absolutely.
you, Nikki. I've operated a little bit differently since then.
And it was so funny. And I know it was a critical moment, but just the look on Nikki's face, like, okay, we can do that. We can, and you did, and you guys knocked it out of the park. And I just want to say, what I loved about this is how everyone worked together throughout the entire process, through the communication, through getting the team there on time. And even when Nikki and Jess showed up and everything was everywhere, and you were like, hey, Isaiah, we really need to rethink this. Nikki, just for a second, I'd love to find out what was really going on in your head before you formulated the words to say, let's rethink this. And and Isaiah, for you, the question is, you really stood staunch. And so was your confidence in, hey, we got to get this done, and I trust and have faith in you. And let me just say this, I love how quickly you all thought on your feet. We're going to put everything in one room and we're going to cover everything up to protect it. Let's talk about that just for a moment.
Yeah, so when something goes wrong, I don't know if this is good or bad, but I know it's me. I'm going to look internally, like, what did I do wrong? How could I have handled this better? How could I have communicated more clearly or, more effectively so that we would not end up at this spot?
Yes.
So generally when I'm doing construction, I'm in person, I'm there, and I would have been there to see, we're not ready, so we called and we talked to Isaiah. When he had a little hesitation in his voice, I knew, and I should have trusted my gut then, and I should have gone in deeper and said, okay, well, let's get on FaceTime, let's walk around,
Right.
So in that moment when I'm walking in, I'm going all the way back, 2, 3 weeks, 2 months. And like, what did I do wrong? Where did I drop the ball in this situation? And what I've discovered is that, as our business grew exponentially during COVID, our team expanded from 5 to 14 to command. My fingerprint wasn't, carried over on everybody because we grew so quickly.
I see.
And things that I know in my head did not get on paper and did not get rehearsed. And so as Jess was, stepping into her lead designer role, that was not something that she knew that I knew to make sure that we're ready before we schedule. Now, we did make the call, but again, me wanting to be a great leader and allowing people to take the lead and not micromanage them, Yeah, that was just something she had no experience to know that
Mhm.
contractors say one thing and you can be 3 weeks later
Yes.
and they have all the reasons why.
Yeah.
And they're valid reasons. You know, none of us can control shipping, none of us can control
Mm-mm.
supply. Um,
Right.
there are subs, you know, like Isaiah said, Tim was an awesome contractor. He does phenomenal work.
Yeah.
It's just we got behind schedule and we should have paused right then. If I
Mm.
could have made Isaiah see that if it's not ready, you're paying for my flights to come out twice. You're
Yeah.
paying for the delivery company to come out twice.
Yes.
Like it's not worth it. It's not worth wishing it
Right.
into
Right.
existence, you know.
Yeah.
So Isaiah, you explained how you just thought this was gonna twinkle. I was gonna twinkle my nose. You trusted me to twinkle my nose and make things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So by the time, and I think Thanksgiving was kind of our original target, by the way.
Yeah,
So I mean,
we had
we
already adjusted.
gracefully, yeah, we
Yeah.
had already moved that. So,
Yeah.
we had already moved the kind of the deadline or the goal, and just me by nature working towards a goal that definitely, it definitely blinded me at some point in the process. Like we were close, I felt,
Mhm.
but about a week out, it wasn't even a week. It probably was less than a week. My contractor Tim and I, we had a plan. We were executing. We did get around to like final 7 days, and he did mention and say we need to push it back, or probably should push it back.
Mhm.
And I think something that I didn't do was actually consult with Nikki, or us kind of come back together
Yeah.
on that point. At the time, I was actually thinking, okay, the ball, like we've already, the ball is already rolling downhill. We're right there, so we just need to make it happen. And in the spirit of everybody already had flights booked, we got people on schedule.
Yeah.
At that point, it was kind of for me more about just not letting the whole thing fall apart and us,
Mhm.
reaching
Mhm.
that goal.
Yeah.
And what I should have did, and not knowing like how Nikki and team has been flexible throughout the process, just kind of revisiting that and leaning on that, and um, actually making, like actually taking the advice
Yeah.
that kind of was given, even though it was off script or off plan. Like things happen, we just have to
Mhm.
adjust, and
Mhm.
it's not pushing forward, it's not always the answer, I found.
Right. I love that. And it was so good to see. And I'm just going to be honest with you guys. What I really appreciated about, the show itself was the move to action when there was a hiccup, right? And a lot of times you don't see that. And so to see that and everyone move together, make the decision and let's go and let's protect what we have here and make this a success was really an eye opener, number one, because you got to see, the contractors working and you got to see the beginning of the work and the beautiful home and the exterior. But then on the inside, you got to see everything come together piece by piece. And that last moment when everyone was there and the phone call was made was such a crescendo for me as a viewer and seeing everybody work together. So I appreciate the fact that the honesty and the openness was there throughout the entire show. But listen, let's talk about the kitchen. I want to go through the house, shall we?
I want to point out one more thing about the
Yes.
whole Christmas, and walking into the home, and there literally was a
Yeah.
toilet in the entry, and I texted Isaiah that, and yeah, it was something. Um, one thing I am as a designer, as a business owner, as a mom,
Mhm.
as a
Mhm.
friend, is I always want to carry love and joy with me. And
Yes.
so being a problem solver, absolutely, that's what I am. I would say 60% of our jobs as interior designers is solving problems. And so
Mhm.
being able to think quickly on my feet, being able
Right.
to keep the peace, to be
Mhm.
diplomatic, whether it's between spouses that are not in alignment and agreement with something, or a contractor.
Yeah.
I've been known to curse you out in 1 minute and then give you a hug on my way out the door. And so I can operate in these different ways to get this
Yeah,
done, but it's always going to be done with love and grace and joy. So
I love that.
that's how we can laugh through some of these.
Yes,
That's like, why is she even happy right now? Because I
right.
always carry joy and peace with me.
And I
Yeah,
love that. Go
yeah, and I think that those characteristics of Nikki is what helped make this project successful, at least on my end, because
Yeah.
I think and operate in the same way. It's all about, fixing problems, and I'm good at that. So even with the hiccups we had, there wasn't a point where, I felt like we were at odds or at all.
Not at
It was
all.
kind of always coming from a place of solution, even with the toilet being there, which
Little, yeah.
I've that one burns me too still. But just I mean that's what made it fun and at least enjoyable in what was a stressful time is
Yeah.
the fact that I felt like I had a team that was there with me, even though not there every day. They were there kind of one call away. And then when they were in town, even
Hmm.
before the final install, it was like we're on the same page and we're working together,
Yeah.
regardless of what it is or where we're at in the process. It's about moving forward and making things better. So I definitely felt that, and I
I
appreciated that.
love that. I love that. And what I love about what you're both saying, and let me just back up and also say, yes, Nikki, you do have that skill and that quality of just let's find a solution, let's work through it and do it with peace and honor and love. And the fact that you could see that throughout everyone that was working on the project, through, the initial call and the budget and the one-on-ones and then the in-person. And I'm going to also say this. I don't know if I myself, see, that's why people do what they do.
Mhm.
And that's why people have the gifts that they have. Because for me, and then you're doing the shopping and getting everything together and bringing all of the things in-house for your client and the travel and all of that. It is honestly a labor of love, and you have to have a passion for that, and have a client who is malleable and amenable as well and can work well with you. And so this was such a good representation of client and business relationships and how well they can work together, especially when everyone is aligned, even when it comes to having to bend just a little bit so that everyone is happy and you still end up with that excellent product. And the end result, again, is phenomenal. Like, walking through with you guys, I was ready to come and sit down and have a glass of tea or drink with you all at the end and do the toast in the kitchen. It was so nice. So nice. I have to ask again, the kitchen.
Yes.
We have to talk about each portion of the house and even some that we possibly didn't have an opportunity to see. So I love the design of the dining room. Let's start there. The chandelier, the change. Nikki, you said something about the change of the old school chandelier to the new and still keeping with the vibe and the energy of what that old school chandelier represented. And then the circle table and what that let's talk about that just for a moment. And Isaiah, I'd love to hear how your family is using that room right now today.
Okay.
Okay, so the fireplace, I don't know if we got any really good shots of the fireplace, but it has this, carving in it that's very old school. So to, make everything that we're keeping that was old and in a, agreement and working well with the new, that chandelier was the perfect solution because it also had these big curves and the scale of it worked with the scale of the fireplace. So that was a really key find and something that was a splurge because our placeholder for the dining room chandelier, I think we doubled it. Say it right. You were like, huh?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna save it somewhere else. Work with me, trust me. We will make that up somewhere else because this is exactly what we need in this
Yeah.
room. And so we splurged on that chandelier. It is gorgeous. It is hand blown.
Yeah.
There are crystals
Yeah.
inside. It is just phenomenal. And
Okay.
so I'm glad he, agreed and trusted that, okay, we'll save the money somewhere else, but,
Mhm.
to stay within the budget. But yes, let's go ahead and splurge on this dining room chandelier.
It was beautiful and is beautiful. I went, oh, wait a minute, that is gorgeous. And so it was a great choice. Congratulations on that. And the dining room area, do you guys use it often, Isaiah? Or is it just, how, you walk into Big Mama's house and it's like, don't sit there, let's eat here.
It's never said that, but it's kind of felt. People
Mhm.
don't usually just naturally sit here
Yeah.
unless it's like a big gathering or party. I think Christmas was kind of like
Mhm.
it's a past Christmas. People hung out around the dining table,
Mhm. Mhm.
but
Mhm.
I don't know. I like the light so much. I don't need to sit under it. I want to look at it. So it's like we use this area for formal purposes only. Other than that, it's the kind of the centerpiece of the home. Like
I love
first
that.
walk in, it's the first thing that catches people's eye.
Okay, okay. And I would love to talk about the tile that was in the home. Initially, it was one color, Nikki, and then you changed it to another. And in my head as a viewer, I thought you were going to remove it. And so what was the decision that you guys came to in terms of keeping that tile and changing the color to match what was happening in the home overall?
Yeah, so that's something that I've, had to learn to do through experience because,
Mhm.
buy a new home. Some of us are house poor and we can't do nothing for a while,
Right.
Others of us, they plan, they have the resources, they
Yeah.
bought the home and they're going to remodel right after.
Mhm, mhm.
But some of that, push and pull with a budget means that there are some things that are in good condition and we
Yeah,
just need to keep those, right?
yeah,
So flooring is one of those expenses that can escalate and explode. You change one room, you're gonna have to start changing other rooms.
yes.
So we often look for the opportunities of what are the materials that we can keep.
Mm.
And what can we use and work around
Okay.
so that we can, stretch the budget some. And those terracotta, they were travertine tile in the entry. They were beautiful. They were
Yeah,
beautiful. But
yeah.
the consideration is that because it was a gold undertone, to work
Mm.
with that. And again, we've done this in other projects and other homes. One home had a reddish floor, and it's like, okay, whatever color scheme we bring in here cannot clash with this red floor that we're keeping, right?
Got it, got it.
So that's the experience and the beauty of design that yes, you can have something that you're going to work with that's old. And how do you make that work seamlessly when you're bringing in the new?
I love that. I love it. And so, Isaiah, for you, how did that feel knowing that Nikki had your back when it came to keeping the budget where you wanted it to be and working with what you already have to still receive and walk into this palatial place that was absolutely gorgeous once you saw the finished product?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, when you this was my first experience with this, so kind of budget was one of those things that is there, it's gonna come up, but
Yeah,
having someone who can work with you within that budget and kind of piece together, move things around
yeah.
in order to achieve that was great. The tile when you enter is marble, so it
Mm.
was actually there was marble in the bathroom as well. So when I initially got the home, even when my contractor and I were walking around about what we can save, what we can keep, it came up, but it also came up about how expensive it would be just from a material standpoint. Post COVID costs astronomical,
Yeah.
specifically for nice tile that you would want to have in here. So it was one of those things that I felt like we all looked at, but it was like we can work around and do something with this,
Mhm.
and it worked out great. It's
Yeah,
something that I still look at. I mean, I love it. I love everything about the house, but it also leaves room for something later down the
absolutely.
line.
Yeah,
So didn't
it
have to
does.
do everything. We can
Yeah,
work with what we got,
yeah.
especially considering the things that a lot of the things we said we were going to work with
Mhm.
from a contractor standpoint just went
Mhm.
away.
The shades, like
The shades,
the
the
shades that
The
cabinet doors,
shades.
yeah, the
cabinets were
heating
completely
cabinet.
ripped out.
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
And
So
they
to
yeah.
had
save something,
the format, the footprint of the kitchen stayed the same. So I'm like, we could have used
Mhm.
those boxes, but you know, ripping them out, we did get the opportunity to take it to the ceiling. But you saw how that was
Mhm.
one of the places I was like, ooh, we can save on this. You know, if the
Yeah.
footprint is staying the same, let's just
Mhm.
paint it and get new doors. So
And it was
I don't
beautiful.
remember why that didn't happen, Isaiah. I just knew, oh, we're getting new cabinets.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there a
a
story
lot of things
behind
that get
that?
happen by accident. Just
Oh,
demo coming through, taking stuff out or touching that and what's supposed to be touched. Now we got to remove the whole thing. Yeah.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was wonderful. And first of all, I have one final question. I know we have to wrap soon. And so I definitely want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy day to come and hang out with us at After the Move with Nikki Klugh. We appreciate you for that. But I just gotta know, because I could sit here and I could talk about all elements, the bedrooms and how Amaya's face Um, at the end of the day, the beauty of what Nikki has the gift to do is to create those spaces, those sacred spaces. And at the end of the day, it all equals to one thing: home. It equals peace and gratitude and serenity and a place to lay your head at night and wake up refreshed. And so, my question to you is, Nikki, first of all, what about this project allowed you to see home for Isaiah?
Mhm.
And Isaiah, for you, is this the forever home for you? And what portions of the house represent that for you?
Mhm. So I'll start with just Isaiah's heart. And we were introduced by his mom, Tracy,
Mhm.
who she and I have been in community together. And, you know, Christian entrepreneurship is something that's important to us, how we show up and we serve
Yeah.
God's children and each other. So yeah, his heart shined through from the very beginning. His love for Amaya. That's why, you know, I broke my own rule for him, you know,
Yes,
and
yes.
just good people. And I'm
Mhm.
so blessed that, you know, I've worked with all kinds of people. I've fired clients before for being shisty, because we
Mhm.
just don't operate well in those environments. And it's like save them and save me too, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But with all the curveballs that Isaiah threw at me, I was happy to accommodate, you know, and because I knew it was from a place of vision and purpose,
Mhm.
beyond, you know, keeping up with the Joneses, beyond,
Yes,
you know, living a soft life, you know,
right,
beyond
right.
the luxury that interior design can sometimes, you know, take on.
Yes,
It really is about creating a space where you're going to thrive and flourish. And him doing this for his daughter Maya, that was everything for me.
it was. It was wonderful to see. Isaiah, what about you?
Yeah, from the first day I met Nikki in person, I knew that she was the perfect person for the job.
Yeah.
Actually, the first time we kind of talked on the phone, but definitely our first time meeting, I knew that she
Mhm.
was someone who was very much operating in person, very much operating from a place of faith. And when
Yes.
you're working with someone, that's the best people to work with. So it really made me, I'm gonna say, give her my trust,
Ah,
full trust from the beginning. I knew that not only was she good and talented, what she do, her and her team, but also that it would be done, it would be done the right way. That's why I
yes.
didn't hesitate in sharing my vision. I was confident that she would deliver on it, and even with that, she exceeded my expectations, which
Yes.
are already pretty high because of what she created. But it was you can just tell someone who's operating in purpose
Right.
and someone who's operating from a place of faith, and that was definitely Nikki. For sure.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, listen, we could sit here all day and talk about all of the ins and outs of the experience and the beautiful home that you and Amaya share. Nikki, thank you so much for having all of us commune here today, and learn more about the thoughts and the inner workings of running such an amazing organization that helps people always come home and have that sacred space. Um, I wish we had more time, but I want to ask Nikki if you have any further or last words that you wanted to provide for everyone through this experience, and Isaiah, you as well, before we wrap.
I just want to thank Isaiah, thank him for providing the space, for opening up, and for sharing. This is something that's so intimate and personal to each of us. But to allow us to come into his home and to see and to take part of this process, so that other people can enjoy it and experience it and get a deeper understanding of what home really means.
Awesome. And you, sir?
I would just like to thank both Nikki and her entire team, which, they're a terrific team. I know Nikki's out there a lot and does a lot, but her team, both behind the scenes, is really, really kind of foundationally where I know where the strong point is. So just a huge thank you. I mean, a job is a job, but there's doing a job with heart. There's doing it with care. There's doing it with love. There's doing it in a manner in which it should be done that, helps lift people up in whatever job you're doing. I firmly believe that. And to have a team, an entire team that does that was remarkable. I mean, I consider myself lucky. This was a stressful process, but without Nikki and her team, I couldn't even imagine what it would have been like or what the end result would have been like. So I am just huge thank you to Nikki and her entire team. I just can't say it enough.
Awesome.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, guys, we are at the end of After the Move with Nikki Klugh. And again, Isaiah, Nikki, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Listen, there are more interviews and more shows coming that you guys don't want to miss when it comes to On the Move with Nikki Klugh. I'm excited for this entire season. So listen, come back often and sit a spell with us here at After the Move with Nikki Klugh. Have a great one.